people were asking how many MMOs have you done, and I thought it was like 12 or 13. It's actually 18 MMOs we've done in total, which is crazy. So I'm gonna list them off just because I think it's cool. So we started with Guild Wars 2. Then we went to EverQuest, then Dungeons and Dragons Online, then we did Dark Ages of Camelot, Lord of the Rings Online, Black Desert Online, which is my least favorite. We did Bless Unleashed for 1 week. We did Age of Conan. That was where I actually took over as the main streamer, and we almost got banned for nudity. We did Star Wars, The Old Republic. We did Warhammer. We did DC Universe Online. We did Lost Ark. We did New World. We did Valheim. I know it's not an MMO, but we did it like it was. We did Final Fantasy XI, which I am still getting hits on my install video for. We did Final Fantasy XIV. We did Project Gorgon, and we have just finished up EverQuest. 18 MMOs total in about a year and a half. So we are the ADHD of MMOs, the MMO 101. And Ben and I on the forums asked, well, what have you guys learned? What are the 2 things that you would, like, if you were going to play an MMO that you would definitely want in that MMO? And what are 2 things that like MMOs should avoid? Like, if you were going to play an MMO, what would be the thing that you would absolutely want that MMO to avoid? So let's start with Therek.
Ooh, on the spot. Okay, so 2 things.
Let's go with the positive first.
Okay, the positive. So just the positive.
Yep.
Okay,
we'll just do the positives first.
2 things an MMO has to have. 1 is open world, because I've loved whatever. I mean, I just so many things to me that I remember that I'm like, this is why I'm enjoying having our Tuesday nights this past however many weeks it's been. Open world and the potential for good loot to drop off, random mobs, and the option for named mobs to spawn. I think that the casino aspect of playing EverQuest is so fun for me. The fact that we know that we could get a named mob just randomly wandering through here right now who could drop something cool in Mistmore that night, and we kept getting that named mob and it kept dropping the cool robes. That's what I'm talking about. I love that. What an MMO has to have. And then as part of that, in an open world. So I would consider that the second thing. That's what I say for my positives.
Thanks. Yeah, I like that list a lot. Those are not quite my list, but very, very good points. Stans?
Oh, okay. We're doing.
We're gonna go good cop, bad cop here.
Yeah. So this is where I get us canceled by all of the hardcore I play EverQuest and nothing but EverQuest people. So apparently out of the way early. Awesome. One thing that I really think MMOs need going forward, and we're seeing it more often, but it's still not a universal thing. Some form of a level matching, scaling, mentoring, sidekicking solution, at the very least in mind. Because honestly, the days of needing to just be everybody in your group within an arbitrary set range along your vertical progression track. Otherwise, nope, we're done. We're out. Oh, and we got a pop on us. I really think that needs to go the way of the dodo. Just let me make sure
that's your thing that it must have or must
have, yes.
Okay, so that's one thing. What's the other thing?
I just had to stand and toss a heel on Nathan first. Sorry.
Sorry.
The other thing I have, and it's, Sparoh and others are going to laugh about this one because I love games even though they don't have this. But content and progression activity, so meaningful content to go through that is scaled or sized for groups of all sizes, solo, small group, full group, full raid, across as much of your leveling path as you can get. Not, okay, there's you start out and almost everything is solo, or everything is group only, and then the end game is raid. Give us at all levels of progression the ability to do stuff in varying group sizes, not just well, there's not X number of people on today in the guild or around right level. Guess I'm logging off and doing something else. Draq the other night.
Dude, totally happened.
Yeah. Getting actual focus on multi-level, um, multi-scaled content in all facets of the game encourages people to be able to move through the game with people, even if it's not with a full group or solo only, because nothing scales above solo for the first 40 levels.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, though, I could have done other stuff. I just wasn't going to mess with it. I knew that I had time later to go figure it out.
Yeah,
so,
but it was that perfect instance of like, hey, I'm here waiting to do a thing.
Yeah.
Well, crap.
Yeah, it did not work. I was even going to stream it. It did not work at all. So, question. Would you say that you would be pro progeny then?
It really depends on what progeny system actually is implemented, but I think that could be a real interesting solution towards resolving some concerns. Yeah.
Well, I think the caravan system, which I haven't talked about in a while, but Vanguard has it, and that's on tune with like, hey, I can't be there tonight, but I don't want to fall behind my group that I always play with.
That would help a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, and likely it's a updated form of the caravan system from Vanguard, most likely.
Nice.
Yeah, they haven't talked about that in forever.
A while, but I think that's still in the books. I don't think they've said they're not.
Oh yeah,
that.
they haven't said that it's on the back burner or anything.
That's not like progeny
it's
where
not
they're
an
like,
important part
stop
of their
asking about
development
it.
right now. Right.
Totally
Yeah, it's not like progeny. That's right.
They're like, Draq, enough with the progeny, enough.
Yeah, somebody like they're like, any questions? Somebody says progeny, they're like, any other questions?
No, you in the back. No, not you.
Draq sitting there with his hand up. Guys. Is any questions?
Sparoh, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm surprised Therek didn't say this, but I need really good lore to bring me into the game, whether it's quest storylines, a reason to be doing things. I love to be led along the path of what's going to happen next in this quest line and actually be moved or have to make difficult choices by the end of the quest. I love really good lore. So
But I do not me. I think it carries more weight coming from somebody else because I always harp on it. So
Yeah.
thank you for saying that.
And I find it goes with ESO, what we'll be playing next. Some of their storylines, they can be, but they're also moving, some of them. And of course, there's some throwaway quests as well. But if you're just going through the zones and following the storylines, it actually kind of catches you.
It is true. That is.
That's
why
I'm going to have a lot to say about that. I am going to have a lot to say about that. Their questing and ESO when we get there, but I'll save it. For
Yeah.
that.
And a side little thing to that, and this is something that ZeniMax Online Studios does in ESO that I think they picked up from Bethesda, because Bethesda does a good job of it also, is environmental storytelling, because there's so many little places in the world where you'll just come across a random scene that obviously happened at some point in time. And you're just like, okay, what is the deal with this corpse, this backpack, these arrows, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find little bits to tell the story of, oh, that was talking about that corpse I saw, way back over there. That must have been this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's a super lore heavy game, and it does. You just come upon this spot that'll have a little tent and maybe a backpack, and it really does draw you in, like Stan said, happened here.
And it doesn't feel like that there's just a huddle of quests. Here, let me grab all these quests.
Right.
You'll just find one, and it's something cool. And they'll usually be like, hey, help me, my brother's stuck in this cave, or something like that as you run by, and you're like, well, I can't just run by that. Let me see what's going on here.
And they will chase you down. They'll be like, hey, okay.
Like, hey, seriously?
Do you know how long I've been looking? No, Stuga. I need you to stop talking to me, Stuga. Sparoh, have you found the dog in the game? The dog by the
dog.
tree. Nathan, you know
It
what I'm
might have been
talking
a
about.
I know
while.
exactly
It
what
might
you're
have been a
talking
while
about.
ago. I mean, I did
That-
get a
that
dog.
was-
I did
that
a
hit
quest for a
hard.
dog.
That's good. That's a
Yeah.
really good one. There's a lot of them like that.
there
But
are.
anyway, that was your first one, right?
Yeah.
I think we're interrupting
The
your second
other
one.
thing that Pantheon folks may not like, but I think needs to be in the game are maps. And I have been playing P99, the whole nostalgia, and I hate that it does not have maps. I need a map. I don't care if it doesn't have GPS or anything really on it, just so somebody can say to me, yeah, we're in the northeast, come over there, and I can follow the map. To me, a game has to have a good map system.
Oh, there, Sparrow's
Hu-
throwing down the
humans-
map card.
Humans have been making maps to track
Right.
their progress through zones for how long?
Right. Even
Come
if I
on,
have
this
to
is
make my
fundamental to
own,
us.
even if I have to make
Yeah.
my own map in game, I'm fine with that. But you need to have some sort of map system.
Sparrow has
because
put up a
Bubba-
map behind herself as her background image.
Needs a map.
She is
I think he
dedicated
cares
to the
about
maps.
That is totally
Maps
true.
and cloth maps.
Funny.
Good point. That was my two.
Nathan, two things every MMO should have.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Nathan. I'm 38 years old. I love to play MMOs in all my time. And today, I want to tell you about two things that I think MMOs should have. Number one, and I know this is already said, but it's too late. It was on my list. History and lore. I did word it differently, though, because I think we've had enough of the characters, the story, right? And it's like, oh, your character's the story. I like the world to be the story, right? And so you're just a little pawn in this grand, crazy history and story that's unfolding in real time in this world that you're just a part of. You're not.
You want the world to feel lived in, whether
That's
you're
right.
there or
And so that's my favorite part of MMOs, when they can capture that, and it's just like you get to experience a piece of things that are happening, but you're not the main deal. You're not the page turner. You're just a part of it. So that's number one. Number two is public dungeons, man. I feel like instance dungeons are okay the first time. They're fun the first time. Second time, they're okay. By about the 20th time, they are awful, and you're like literally nodding off. And you're only doing them because you have to, because of some daily or something. So public dungeons never get old, right? Like, okay, that's not true. Lower Guck got pretty old. But that's because Draq took me down there for like 45 hours straight.
I've been making Nathan go down to Guck for 36 hours.
So,
Straight.
but I would still go, if we were going, if it were like we're going to Lower Guck, I'd still be pretty excited. Because it's a public dungeon. Anything can happen. You can meet anybody. There's, there could be random rare mobs up, or there's an excitement there you can't get out of an instance dungeon.
People could
ever.
come steal your kobolds.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah,
that.
exactly. Even bad things, those make memories still, right? And so it's just like part of this shared world experience, where it's like, instead of this weird conjointed thing where it's like, oh, when I'm out in the overworld, I'm sharing, but when I do a dungeon, it's just me and my group. Like, that just kind of ruins it. Now it's not an open world game anymore. Now you're cutting off and creating these little pockets in the universe, and it just doesn't feel right. Like, you can't go anywhere for real and there be a guarantee of privacy. You know what I mean? Any parent knows that's true. So yeah, I think that's my two. Thank you very much, everyone.
I would just like to say that Nathan took this extremely seriously. And did you notice? He was just like, he's talking down there by the camera.
Welcome to my
He's
TED
all
Talk.
like, he's intense, man. Byproduct says that I'm the high school teacher, and I'm calling on people in class.
That's what I was trying to. That's what I was trying to mimic. I was trying to mimic that I was giving my presentation.
Listen, I don't know if you know this, but these guys are like a band of monkeys going every direction, throwing things, like hanging off the top. Like they will do, like, it's pure chaos. I'm the only thing that's holding this whole thing together.
That is
Oh, we're
true.
in trouble then.
Yeah, we might be in trouble.
Mistakes have been made.
Any semblance of just the teeniest bit of order and a plan come from me.
That's true.
Everybody else is like, ooh, squirrel, let's go this way.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with squirrels.
So occasionally I have to call on people because otherwise it's just madness. All right, that's
Speaking
my
of Cryptfox.
Cryptfox, you're up.
Yeah, let me see. So one thing that I would really love to have in an MMO is layered crafting and gathering systems. One thing I didn't even, because I've always been like really turned off by like just going and gathering. It's like, I'm gonna hit this thing over and over again to get something, and then I'm gonna tear up and hit something else that looks almost exactly like that. So it never really motivated to be a gatherer until played New World. That was awesome. That's like gathering for me right there. Crafting size, I think the Final Fantasy 14 model, like where you're a cook, you level up as a cook, you have cook attire and things like that. So yeah, that's one thing, just the crafting and the gathering. The other thing I'd love to have is like side things you can do in a game. Like you find a map, you go uncover a little treasure, or um, just like mini games or anything, things that ways that you could interact with the NPCs in the game. So,
I have to say
yeah.
that the Chocobo race is one of the highlights of us doing the MMO 101. Just like one of the signature moments, and just like I had so much fun with that. And I am like Hutball in SWOTOR and
Oh, dude, I played so much Hutball.
yeah, and I mean in EverQuest there weren't really organized things, but we just did the Naked Gnome run last night. Like that's not in the game. That was never designed to be in the game. You have to have those other things outside of the game, outside of leveling, outside of doing the normal things to kind of break up the monotony a little bit.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Crypt, that is a hell of a point.
And,
A lot of people don't think about it, but yeah, it really is.
All right, you got anything else to say,
Yeah,
Greg?
what about yours?
Okay.
no, that's it. I just want to talk about the two things I don't want to see.
Oh yeah, we're coming. It's coming. Knew I had to save those to last because I know there's going to be more talking about that.
It's about to pop out of my chest.
We're all about the bad stuff, not about the good stuff. All right, so my good stuff is good, but I just realized that I may be throwing fireballs directly at ESO tonight, even with my good stuff. So my number one thing that I want in every MMO is I want classes. I want defined classes. I want a wizard class. I want a paladin class. I want a warrior. I want them to be different. I don't want them to be the same. I don't want to feel like I'm playing the same character as somebody else. I want to feel like if I roll this character, I can do this, and if I roll that character, I can do that. My character should have a role. And even if it's a DPS role and there's other DPSs, I should play differently than the other DPS roles. I shouldn't just be, okay, well, mine are spells and theirs are attacks, but other than that, you do nothing different. Like, that is huge for me. I want to feel like I pick this class. That's the most important decision I make in the game is class. And I feel like as I walk that out, that needs to be the most important thing in the MMO.
I agree with that. I think that's a really, really good point, and I think a lot of people feel the same way about that.
Right. So,
and I think you might be pleasantly surprised with ESO that when you pick your class, even though you can play other things when you build it, it is what you want it to be. But
Nice.
you'll see.
All right.
We'll hear about
Dude,
it then.
I'm open. I'm open for it. Number
Classes are
two.
a thing for sure.
Number two, and I may be alone in this one, but I'm going to say it anyway. 6-person groups. 6, not
Mm.
4.
Yeah,
Amen.
Mugen said that in chat.
I
Amen.
saw Mugen said it.
Not
He's stealing my
have.
points. I had it written down. I've thought a lot about it. I hate 4 people is a co-op, okay? Co-op. That's you and your
Yep.
friends doing stuff. 6 people is an MMO group, and you need 6 people to have an MMO group. And I mean, really, even WoW with the 5 is not enough. You need 6 people.
No.
It's
I agree.
And if you short yourself interaction, you short yourself the group adventure if you go lower than 6 people. And we've done a lot of 4-person MMOs, and like it ruins it for me. And I just feel like I'm playing a co-op.
Remember that time we played the MMO with 8 people in the group? Do you remember what game that was?
What was that?
Dark Age of Camelot.
Yeah, it was Dark
baby.
Age of
Oh,
Camelot.
that's right, Dark Ages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, now we get it. Now everybody's fun one. All right, Therek, what would you avoid like the plague in your MMO? What is it that MMO should avoid like the plague? What are the bad things? Give us the dirt.
Oh man, I should have been thinking about this while everybody else was talking, but I was listening to the points. What's the 2 things they should absolutely avoid? Well, I mean, I sort of said it with open world. I mean, I could take the opposite and just say instancing because it would make sense with what I previously said. But I just hate different versions of the same world within the game. I know picks have been useful for us. We had that conversation a couple weeks ago. So I appreciate the usefulness of it, but I think, when your baseline is open world and then, it's only done on an absolutely as needed basis. I mean, maybe, but I hate instancing so much, and I don't want it in any MMO that I ever play seriously.
What about as a temporary? I gotta ask because this is like something that could happen to any MMO, right? Pantheon's a little bit an advantage here because it's got player or racial starting areas, but it's very common that an MMO doesn't have that, right? And they'll institute at the launch of the game because everybody's a new player and it's going to crash the servers. Everybody's going to have a bad time. So temporarily they'll institute like instances so that people can play the game. How do you feel about that when it's just for that and it's they plan for like after the first month they're going to roll it out and never do it again?
That's fine. I don't care about that. That's
Okay.
fine. That's a
I
technical
wondered.
solution to a temporary problem.
Right.
It's not
Okay.
part of the game's design.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. I mean, and I'll take the cheap, easy route on the second answer as well, and that's cash shops. I've said all along that everything that you have in the game, like my weapons, my armor, my items, every single thing I possess in the game needs to come from within the game world. There should be nothing I can own, possess, wear, anything that I get from outside the game that I cannot achieve in the game. Now, I know that opens up the door for like, a cash shop of a limited, as long as it comes from within the game, you can have it in your cash shop. But I still feel like that idea gets corrupted so easily at the drop of a hat. Once that's there, it's just so easy to go that route. And I've seen it happen over and over and over and over again. And I can't take it anymore. I think it would be like if I had the ability, like in Star Trek, like a matter transporter or like what's the device? Replicator. Thank you, Stans. That's not part of the world. It didn't come from the world. It doesn't exist in real time, and I don't think it needs to be part of a real world. If they're creating a world, not a game, that stuff like that can't be a part of it. So rant off. That's my piece.
Good.
I feel like Redbeard, when we were doing the power leveling stream, Redbeard said it best, right? It's like they're slowly like inching us towards the door. They're boiling the crab, right? And we don't even know it because they're like for Diablo Immortal, like they're like, oh, look at all this stuff, and then they're like, oh yeah, but Diablo 4, it's only got just cosmetic cash shops. Wait a minute, cosmetics in Diablo 4? Like, when did that happen?
We cranked the water temperature all the way up,
Yeah.
and then we brought it back down to here for 4, but it used to be here.
Yeah.
Like we would, 10 years ago we would have never put up with this stuff, but now it's just like, just don't make everything pay to win. Just don't let somebody drop $40,000 in one go. And like, Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I've wavered on it a little bit over the since the time that we've been streaming and when we've been doing content and all that kind of stuff, because I've heard some good arguments for for it and against it, but I always come back to it that it makes the world disingenuous, and I can't stand it. So yeah.
And it's on the developers to do it. Like, we as players can't like fix it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We can't stop it because if it's in the game, we can barely stop ourselves from doing it. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's exactly right. And you got to be disciplined, man. And it's just people just don't have the discipline for it. Like, people rant about Diablo 4. They're the same people who are buying the shit in the cash shop, right? Or buying
You're talking
all the
about
stuff.
Immortal, right? You're talking about Immortal,
Immortal.
right?
Or Immortal,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry. Yeah, Diablo Immortal. The same people who rant about it are the same people who are buying the crap. So whatever.
Yeah.
We're our own worst enemies.
It's true. All right.
So they're using, but what's dirtiest about it is that they're using why we like the game against us, right? So it's like we like to get more powerful, we like to find some cool looking loot or whatever. So they knew that. Yeah, the fantasy element. So what they're doing is they're saying, oh, now we're going to take the coolest parts of that, we're going to monetize it, and we know you'll do it. We know you can't resist because you'll sit there for 4 days camping a mob for an item. So we know you'll spend $10 for it.
That's right.
True.
So it's dirtier than it even seems. They're literally looked at you like a specimen under a microscope and designed it to get you. And so
They're
it's dirty. It's
leveraging
dirty.
your own time against you
Yes.
and calling it fun.
Mhm.
You
Calling
can't
it
give that option.
convenience.
You can't give people that option. It just everything else, it trivializes the time you spend camping something. It's brutal.
And you can only resist it for so long because people were consumers. You put something out there, pay $1 for a freaking experience potion, you'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's only
especially
$1.
those. Right, right.
All right, Stans.
All right, so Draq, I am so tempted to use one of the.
My pros is your negative.
I mean, you know exactly which one it was, because
Oh,
one
I
of the
know.
ones one of the ones I had on my list was lockstepping class being hard tied to a role. That absolutely tilts me, but we're gonna slide past that. Taunts as we know it and the threat mechanic as a whole. We are way the hell past the pumpkin spice basic level of this mechanic as MMOs have been using it. We need to have something better to explain why a seemingly intelligent, or at the very least, competent predator mob enemy in the world makes the decision over and over again to, hey, there's that thing in front of me that's covered in metal and I'm barely denting it, but it's only hitting me like a wet noodle. But yet, I'm going to attack it instead of the thing in the dress behind me that is absolutely blasting my ass with fireballs and lightning. Find better reasons to justify why taunt works. Screaming in Lotro, I mean, dude, it's a start. It's something. And interestingly enough, I think that Pantheon is actually one of the games we've seen make some progress in that, with what we've seen from the Dire Lord and Provoking Phantoms. The wording of that is literally, I actually copy pasted this someplace.
Stans did homework for this
Oh
answer.
my goodness.
Yeah,
This is for reals right here.
Provoking Phantoms, you afflict an enemy's mind with relentless apparitions. The longer you focus your attacks on this target, the deeper their hate towards you will become. You are explaining, other than just saying, you taunt the mob. Come on.
Yeah.
Give us
No, in defense though, the word taunt, that is how you get someone to attack you in a fight. If they're already mad and you taunt them, they're likely going to come for you, right? That is a tactic.
Which can work for this much time to
okay.
non-organized, like that does not fly over any length of time. Do the
Okay.
absolute bare minimum, stop insulting our intelligence, and find reasons why your shit works.
So you want lore to the
Yeah, I
taunt.
was just gonna say that. You want a
I
little
mean-
lore with your taunt?
Basically,
All-
yeah.
All he
Give
wants
me
is
there.
that
He is
flavor
right.
text.
Give me
Unless-
interesting mechanics. There was actually one and this was years ago. It was an MMO that never actually even came into pre-production. I remember being in their forums. I don't even remember what game it was. One of the mechanics that the tank class had was as they built threat with their taunt mechanics, they had an ability that kept them in focus to their targets and blurred the visuals of the rest of the people in their group. They were literally making themselves the only actual targetable enemy increasingly as they climbed the threat. Give us something that actually explains why this is here. It was fine 20 years ago because there needed a very simplified, dumbed down mechanic for how to make this work in an open world shared, gaming system.
It
We've had 20 years to find something better.
For just $1 a day.
I think chat's calling you out. They're saying you need to use your imagination.
Imagination.
Yeah, I imagine that. Yeah.
All right, Stans,
No,
do you have a
come
second one?
We need to ditch.
That was one.
I think that was just one. Remember, we only got 16 minutes left, or 18 minutes left. So
We need to ditch the game gets good at X,
Oh,
or the
that's
game,
good.
change,
That's
the
good.
That's a
game
good one.
changes at Y.
Yep.
If
That's
I'm 40 hours in, 50 hours in, and it's no, 200 hours in,
Oh, yikes.
the real game starts,
Yeah.
or things change completely. Nope, you done fucked up, Aaron.
Yep.
Mhm. And New World.
I mean, that was part of it for me for New World. I was just like, you begin to, as a mid-level person who's kind of taking your time, you reach this moment where you're like, well, I haven't even reached the end game. I haven't even started yet. And then it starts to like overwhelm you. And you're like, what am I even doing with my time here? Like, I'm just out.
What am I doing with my life?
The game evolving as you progress and put a lot of hours in is awesome, but it being bad and boring early, but no, it's going to get better. Just play another 100 hours.
Right.
Just gonna,
Stop
Totally
that.
agree.
no way.
Show
Yikes.
your best foot immediately.
Yes.
That's true. Agreed.
All right. 20 minutes later, Sparoh.
All right.
It was a deep
So-
one, though. It was a deep
It
one.
was deep.
Yeah, it was. It was
deep.
good.
I
One
knew,
of
I knew the cons were going to be way more in depth than the pros.
yeah. So my biggest pet peeve, and not everyone's going to agree, I get that, but is the localized banking and auction houses. I despise that. And I know
Mm.
Pantheon is going for some form of that. So I am doubtful about that little piece of the game that I will enjoy that, because
Okay.
any game that I've tried that has had it,
Mhm.
I hate it. And ESO is a prime example of what I do not want to see in their auction house, where the different guilds are having to pay and kind of compete with each other of where they can sell, and you never know where to go to buy your crap. Like if you want some better gear, I never go now to look for gear to buy, because it's just always moving around. Different guilds own it. I hate it. So I hope no game has that. I hope Pantheon just ditches it, but I don't think they will.
Well,
Agreed.
real quick before we
100%.
move on, I gotta
Yeah.
ask, because I feel like this is how it will end up. What if it was just like per region, as in like Throne Fast?
I don't know. Like I said, all the ones that I have tried, I've
Mhm.
really hated. So it's hard for me to be like, well,
Yeah.
what if they just tweak this or
Well, I
tweak that?
I only say that because Final Fantasy 11 did that. There was 4 major cities in Classic, and they each had their own little ecosystem.
Right, but
14
you-
used to be like that, but they
it was
they-
bad in
but they
14. Though.
changed it.
It
Yeah.
was nothing like 11. 14, we don't have to get into that. It was a closet of NPCs. That was bad.
But doesn't it always end up as everybody kind of decides in games where there's more than one
Yeah.
market, right?
Where are you
Everyone
gonna sell?
on the server
right.
or in the game itself, like universally across all servers, just decides, okay, this is where we're all going. And no matter how much more it costs and no matter how much more it's annoying, it doesn't matter. Everybody goes to one place. So
And it will be the city that is central to everybody and or the city that is near the end game stuff.
right.
Yep.
It was Juno in 11. But what ended up happening in 11 was interesting, though. It meant that new players were starting in one of those 3 cities, and therefore that was really cheap. The price didn't get inflated because it was mostly newer players selling things there. So newer players didn't get that inflation until they got to Juno, and then they were a high level.
But my point has always been, why not just choose that for the game itself?
It's a good argument. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And Byproducts asked why have no auction house? No, I absolutely love auction houses. And it was actually the Bazaar was the first thing I saw in EverQuest, the first MMO I ever played. And that's what hooked me, is I thought it was the coolest thing ever that real person had real in-game stuff and was selling it to another real person. So I love the auction house. But I don't like any version that I've seen of localized auction houses or banking, like that whole New World stuff with banking here and banking
it
there.
was
Oh
bad.
my
It
gosh,
was
I
bad.
hated
It was
that.
bad.
I remember
Oh,
Sparoh.
wow.
If you were getting about
Oh
that.
my god.
Oh,
However,
yeah,
And,
because-
and
However-
you could only.
it was really easy for Draq to make lots of money with it.
yeah,
Oh my god! I knew that's what he was gonna
I
say.
hated
You
it.
freaking egg seller. God.
It ruined the crafting, which I was enjoying in New World, the harvesting and crafting. It ruined it because I kept running out of space to store my crap. I'm a hoarder in game. I don't
Right.
want to have my stuff broken up.
Oh my goodness.
And oh man, our faction lost the town where I had ore banked. I can't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Stans. It's like
Yeah.
you literally just go to one place, log out, log in the morning, and the place where all your stuff is.
Yeah, that was
Yep.
bad.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Dude,
So-
what's worse than localized markets is localized banking. That is absolutely unacceptable. Do not do
Yeah.
that. That is the
They did
worst.
that in New World. It was localized banking. I remember I was just like, well, I'll never see that stuff again. I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
It's just gone.
It's just gone. I'm never going back.
I'm never running back to that city.
Yeah.
We play a game where there's magic all around us, and there is teleportation magic, and banks haven't figured it out and started using it yet. Come on.
Well, it's because, wait a minute, though. It's because sometimes it doesn't make it. It's not 100%. You know,
Oh.
Draq one time was the one porting us out, and he didn't make it. I'm just saying, I
But
want
you know,
I want my money to do
If
that.
you buy
you know?
the item from the cash shop, it is 100%.
Oh, touche.
There we
All
go.
right, we're getting way off track here. Sparoh, was that 1 or 2? I don't even
That was
remember.
one.
That.
That
Oh
was
my
one.
goodness. All right,
Yeah.
2.
But the next one's quick. I think everybody, well, maybe might agree, is I like crafting. So one thing I definitely do not want to see is failed combines like in EverQuest. Oh my gosh.
Wait,
that
failed
was
what?
the
I'm sorry.
worst.
Failed combines.
Failed combines. So when you
Oh.
click and you use your stuff up, like, no, you lost all your stuff and you didn't make the gear.
Mm.
That is
They-
the worst.
They've already said that for crafting, chance of failure with some material loss.
Yeah,
hate
Nafel has
that.
Not
talked
full,
about
not
that.
full
Hate that.
material loss, but some. That's
Yeah.
what's currently planned.
Have you?
Yeah, so that it's just a crap piece of gear you sell to the vendor or whatever, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
So
guys
that was
know
my
I-
short one.
You guys know I failed the 7th shawl for the Coldane
So
Quare
did
shawl
I.
press,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I
Me
saw you.
too.
You tweeted that the other day. I saw that.
Oh, you failed it recently. I failed
Oh
it
no,
back
no,
in the day.
no! It was back in the day. No, I had to do it. I did it twice. I literally
Yep.
grinded that dumb thing twice.
Yep, and I hated it so much I never finished it because I failed those rares. The rare, I
Yeah.
think it was it spiders or wyvern biles or something, and I failed on it. and it was the worst feeling ever. I spent hours farming that stuff
Yeah,
and cook
weeks.
it. Yeah,
It was
it was
forever.
brutal. Do not want to see that in any game I play.
So maybe crafting quests you shouldn't fail.
Yeah.
Sparoh, I want to tell you something. I don't know if you know or not. In BDO, that is the end game. Trying to
What?
get your gear plus
Yeah,
5.
right.
I remember
Yeah,
that.
it is.
Yeah.
Breaking. Yep.
It's known for that. It's like that's one of its like reputation things.
Yep.
Well,
Dude, it's
That
almost
is
like
the
a
end game.
gambling addiction thing. Like,
It is gambling. Yeah.
oh, I don't like gambling, so there you go.
Not the game for you.
Nope.
Nice. Oh, Malfeast says Aeon too.
Oh.
Fellas?
Lots of
fellas?
the Korean type games have that gear progression as you craft
Right.
as you get your gear higher tiers.
Well, because they
Yeah, so
incorporate
failure
it with the
increases.
loot boxes too, right? So then when you lose
You
the
can buy
crafting,
stuff. You can buy
then you
potions in
lose
the cash
all
shop
the cash
that-
shop
yeah.
stuff that you just bought.
Makes it
Or
100%.
you
Yep.
can buy potions in the cash shop that gives you your 100% chance.
That's right.
Well,
That's
see,
not-
ESO does something like that, where if you put these little extra pieces in, you up your chance of it. So everybody uses 100%.
Oh, brutal.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody doesn't use
Nobody.
100% for the improvement. Yeah,
Right.
Everybody just pays the 2, 4, 6, whatever the cost is.
Exactly.
At
You know
least
what
in
they did
ESO,
in-
you get some free points every month. Like that's so BDO, you don't. Like you just pay.
It's
Oh,
just
you
you
don't
know-
have to
pay,
I
Yeah,
never
pay,
spent
pay.
money
It's
on
not- there's
that.
there's not an accompanying cash shop mechanic
No.
to your chance of improving items in ESO. It's
No, it's
just
stuff you get in the game.
byproducts. We don't talk
okay.
about Arcade on the MMO 101. We don't discuss that MMO.
That one doesn't exist. Arc what? What?
You know what they did in Aeon that I liked though was being able to pull out a chair and have a little sign hang off it, and people can interact with you while you're AFK. Is like a little shop of the things that you've made.
But did
Did
they
Aeon
talk to
also
the
have
chair?
court?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Right.
What?
I think Aeon had court too, didn't it? Wasn't that the game?
I don't
where, like, if you
remember.
did something
Court?
bad, you could be summoned to
Arcade,
court.
I think that's it.
Oh,
Arcade.
That
it
was
was
Arcade.
arcade. It was the one we don't speak of. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah,
Yes.
we don't talk about Arcade. Nathan, you're up. We gotta move
Okay.
this train along.
All right, everybody. First of all, I don't know why Draq thought he could get 6 content creators in a room together in 1 hour and we just explore very important topics.
I
But
should have started this 2 hours ago.
It should have been the
learned.
show while we
Lesson
were
learned.
grinding.
So my number one, I'll be quick. I am so sick and tired and offended deeply by the hand-holding tutorials. Like, it is
Oh.
so embarrassing. It's like, literally, I've been making a bunch of cringe ponies about it, where literally it shows you where to put your hands on your keyboard, and like, here's how you hold a mouse, and right-click, left-click, and WASD, and it's just like, gosh, geez, guys, like, it's insulting. Like, it's to the point where it's like, I couldn't have even installed the game if I didn't know how to operate a mouse, guys. You know, like, obviously I have some competence because I got here. You know,
You know what
Um,
the best
now that-
one, the best one is the Final Fantasy 11 tutorial because you're
Shit.
like, I just got your dumb game installed. It took me 6 hours, and you're gonna talk to me about WASD?
And then
What?
and you
11 doesn't have a
system.
tutorial. Wait a minute, you're thinking of something else. 11
Yeah.
doesn't have a tutorial at
Oh,
all.
is it
It
14?
just dumps you in the world.
Oh,
yeah.
whatever.
So
Yeah,
Nathan,
14, yeah.
as a counter to that, a direct counter, I did play with. Oh, we got a pop. It looks like
It scared me.
I did play with a couple
yeah,
of friends
okay.
from work a few years back,
Okay.
and one of them literally we had to teach how to play computer games using
Okay.
the
Oh, my
tutorials.
God.
in,
That's what I like to
So-
call one-off, right? Where there could be an option that says, I don't know anything.
a selectable option saying
Yes.
teach me the yes.
Like, or it could ask you, it could be like,
Or a
do you
turn
have you
off.
ever played an MMO before in your life? Yes. Okay, cool. We're not going to
Or a
treat you like
video
moron.
game.
We're not
Right.
giving-
Yeah.
I
Like,
just,
just
Have
a
you taken
yes
a
or
breath
no at
yet?
the
Do
very
you know how to
beginning.
breathe?
it's so bad, you know. It's just like, and it ruins it. It ruins it because it's like it'll tell you things. You're like, oh, great, you just spoiled it. Like, I would have liked to have figured that out on my own. Thanks a lot for telling me. Now I know, and it's not even cool anymore. It's just a feature that I'm super aware of, and so is everybody else because everybody's going to see this as soon as they log in.
Yeah.
So I just
But-
feel like it's just, you know, treat your players with a little bit of dignity. When they're making a
But
tutorial.
have something there for for example, people who have come from being lifelong console gamers. coming
Sure.
to a PC MMO.
Sure.
Well,
Give them the option for a good tutorial.
and Nathan was like right on the edge of this, but like it was really cool when you were playing EverQuest and you would tell people about how to play the game, right? Like maybe they didn't know about the extended target window, and you would explain like, "Oh yeah, dude, your extra mobs show up in that window," and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that," and then
Yeah.
you felt like, "Okay, well now I know something they didn't know." Like you don't like let your player base disseminate the information of your game. It doesn't have to be a tutorial. Let people figure stuff out. There's smart people; they'll figure it out. They'll pass it on to other people, and it will go throughout your whole community. And that is a way better way to get information out than, here's press A and turn left, press D and turn right, press go forward, go backward, and you have to do that or you cannot move on. It's awful.
You see, you
Point
look
is,
at that, it's
people
like,
would figure it out, right? Like they would figure it out no matter what. Eventually, they would figure it out. If they pay for the game, they've installed the game. They're at the point where they're like, I can't wait to play this game, and they're going to figure it out. Like I don't need to know spacebar makes me jump. Most people don't. There's a small majority that may, but please, the rest of us, we don't want to see all this stuff for our first 30 minutes of the game. We just want to explore it and discover it ourselves, please. And number 2 has already been said, but it can't be said enough, and that's cash shops. It cheapens the whole experience of your game. Number 1, it tells your audience we're not going to survive, so we have to put this cash shop up because we're barely we can barely pay the bills. That's what a cash shop says. Number 1, because that's how it's been used in the past. Like, oh, player count's dropping, we got to add a cash shop. Because we don't have enough concurrent players to staff our members anymore. Most people, if it's advertised this way, hey, we're charging more per month, but there will never be a cash shop because this will pay it, right? Like, cost more per month, but no cash shop, no pay to win, no convenience, no, what's the fancy word they always say they're going to do? Pay to look cool or any of that.
Cosmetics.
It's cosmetic, thank you. Oh, it's just cosmetics. Every game has said that. No game has ever just we've got pay to win. So that's just the way our game is. They're all like, no, it's cosmetics. It's just cosmetics for now. Like go ahead and look cosmetics, and it's like, yeah, and then you'll slip in a potion for this and that and the third, and then it'll turn into a mess. And it screws up the developers. It screws them up because then you've got investors saying, they're like, oh, we want to add this new content in the game. They're like, well, how much money will we make on that? Well, nothing, but we'll retain players. Okay, hold up. How about we send our artists to go work on this item because we can make $6 million this quarter off of sales. Forget about your stupid little content you want to add to the game. Those people are already paying us. We want additional money, right? We want to raise revenue. And that's what happens. And it hurts the developers. It ties their hands to where they have to spend their time and energy on things that are going to create revenue. Instead of the revenue being to keep players in the game. That should be what they're focused on.
It's so short-sighted.
Yes.
I like Mel Fellis's point. I think they could make a lot more money than they think they could have selling merch items, like actual physical items, and a crap load for them, and because it'll cost them to ship and make the product. But do T-shirts, do figurines, do physical items, maps that you send people.
Physical merch is an incredibly physical merch is an incredibly high buy-in cost for companies to produce, unless you're just doing the cheap offloaded like Redbubble or something like that, where some other company cheaply silk prints something for you.
Now, I want to say
actual
this,
good
though.
physical merch is really expensive and has really high minimum orders, which is why a lot of companies don't do it.
And here's a freebie. Here's a freebie for MMO developers. You can take it and run with it because nobody's ever done it before in this fashion. You sell merch, but everybody can't just go buy it. You have to do something in the game to unlock that shirt. Only people who's done this get the ability to go to the shop and buy this particular item. It could be a figurine of the boss you fought. It could be a T-shirt. I survived blah 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 during while it was relevant or whatever. You know what I mean?
You've earned the right to get this trophy item.
Yes, and how tempting is it to not get that shirt if you just accomplished something
Yeah.
really awesome in the game, you're proud of it, you feel good, and there's an item now you can claim.
Or perhaps
FOMO for the win.
Show up on your MMO 101 stream wearing it in front of all your other friends who haven't completed
That'd be
it yet.
awesome.
Yeah, be like, what's up? What's up, guys? I'm here to play with you guys today. How's everybody doing?
How are you guys doing?
I don't think I'll do that on my stream.
What step are you?
Yeah, there's some of us can get away with doing.
Yeah,
Us probably can't.
I probably shouldn't, but I do.
Oh my goodness. Nathan's still trying to get me banned from Twitch. All right. We got to close the Nathan down. Cryptfox.
Oh man, I'm losing my voice over here. Laughing so much. Yeah. So all right. So there's one thing that I just despise it so much. It will kill a community of a server, and it is allowing cross-server grouping, cross-server too many cross-server transfers. Like you could, if you got a character you've had the entire time, you like them from that server and go to another server and then stay there, fine. But no cross-server grouping. I saw it happen to Final Fantasy 14. The server had its own personality, its own identity, uh, intimate interactions between groups and friends and everything like that. And then they started doing the cross server, and then people didn't need guilds for like raid content. Uh, you got to know less of the people that played on your server because you didn't see people shouting for group or just standing out in the marketplace, whatnot. So no cross server, nothing. I hate it. Um, the other thing is currencies and dailies,
Ooh.
weeklies, monthlies, any elise,
Login bonuses.
Oh yes, like Lotro's the worst for that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Lotro combines the daily logins with the ability to spend a currency to get more of the daily
Oh my
logins.
goodness.
If you want.
It's so bad.
Thank you, Daybreak Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't need to see anything like you go to a raid zone and you get like an obsidian that you have to collect and take that to a merchant there. Yeah, anything like that for different gears, currencies, dailies, destroy them all.
So you don't want the like looted gear tokens from a
No.
raid type system. You want gear or
No.
nothing.
Gear, yeah, just let me find the gear, or make the gear or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I remember, I forget who I was talking to. So if you're in chat, remind me. But I was talking to somebody and they were talking about how back in the day on EverQuest, they like to visit other servers in EverQuest because every server had their own personality. And so they would call it vacationing as it on other servers because they wanted to go like figure out like what's this server like compared to this server and so they would go visit all the different servers because each server had its own personality, its own quirks, its own like rules and like ways things got done and stuff. And so I just thought that was really cool. I'd never heard of that before, but I was like, what a neat idea is like to go and view the different servers and how they're different. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I really think keeping the crossover out of it, we'll be able to actually have a server personality. And if it's just like role playing on this server with adventuring and the other one is the same thing, you'll just see the way that people interact or who gravitate to who. It's really awesome to see that.
Hey, I think this is a good point for what you're talking about because I feel like this is different. But I want to see what you think, Cryptfox. What if, like, in the raid, the dragon can drop a red dragon scale, they're saying. And you can use that, and you can take it to a crafter, which is the main core ingredient they need to make a shield or something.
Mm.
Do you think that's different than what you were discussing with the tokens, or do you think that's the same thing?
Like if it's loot,
Yeah.
I mean it's a crafting piece. It's a different delivery method. Instead of just like having completed a kill and then depositing like in a currency bag, not necessarily an item. I think that would be different.
I think so too.
I've done my 10 raids and accumulated enough currency to just go buy a piece of gear type scenario. Is that what you're
Yeah. The
looking to avoid?
casual, like, people crying because they're like, I beat it 20 times, I haven't got my drop. It's like,
You've heard me then.
That's fair.
Actual footage of people whining in Raid with Nathan right there.
I think it's clipped somewhere.
All right. We've got to move this thing on. So I'm going to keep mine super short. I'm going to, you guys took a lot of my good ones, so I'm going to keep it a little different. And it may seem like a small thing, but I don't think it's a small thing. I think it's a big thing. I don't like MMOs when they let you change your name. I think that's a bad plan. I think there should be no name changing. Because back in the day when you were a jerk and then you treated everybody like a jerk, then that was attached to your name and you couldn't name change. And then so people knew who you were and people knew on that server because you couldn't do cross servers. So I guess you'd have to put that in there with it. But the ability to say, this is me and I cannot escape me is key. I can't be anonymous because I change my name every other week is a big deal to me. Thanks so much for making it to the end of this video. If you would like to watch stuff as it happens live, then you need to head over to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/PantheonPlus.